I'll be honest, Total War 3 Kingdoms hasn't really been doing it for me so far, and I get the sense that much of the community feels similarly. Hop on the subreddit and most of the posts are still about Total War Warhammer. But I recently got to have a go at the first 30 turns of Liu Bei's campaign, and now I'm excited. And I'd like to tell you why. Here are 5 things about the campaign in Total War 3 Kingdoms that have finally got me a little bit hyped. One of the biggest barriers to getting me hyped for 3 Kingdoms is that developer Creative Assembly has said from the start it's all about the characters. And to my shame, I don't know who they are. I don't really know the 3 Kingdoms story. But it looks like Total War is going to do a pretty great job telling me. Each campaign is introduced with a cinematic, and there are in-game cinematics as well to punctuate every plot twist. Characters banter with each other at every opportunity, even in pre-battle loading screens, and you'll know from the writing exactly what they're like. For example,
"You drink better than you fight, John Feng!"
That is no insult at all!
Obviously, this tells you that Zhang Fei is a massive lad, and possibly even an absolute unit. He's one of Liu Bei's 2 sworn generals, and after 30 turns on the road with the boys, I already feel like I know them. Each campaign also has a starting dilemma, a crucial choice drawn directly from the Romance of the 3 Kingdoms novel. Liu Bei's is whether or not to support Tao Quan against the devious Cao Cao, and it's a tricky choice because the latter is a fair bit more powerful. If all the characters and their dilemmas are as well drawn as Liu Bei's, I'll want to play through the campaign several times to see the conflict unfold in different ways and from different perspectives. When CA says characters are everything, it doesn't just mean in the story. The character system has changed profoundly. All characters will now have opinions of one another, they can move around independently on the world map, and most importantly, they're no longer permanently attached to factions. Characters can up and leave you if their satisfaction drops too low. They may then choose to join a rival, and if they're good, they might get a position, and maybe even take over the whole faction if the previous leader should die. And obviously, if the previous guy liked you but the new guy doesn't, this kind of leadership change can completely screw your relations with another faction. Now consider what might be possible if the skilled character who leaves you and joins someone else is actually your loyal spy. Now add to this the more familiar quirks of a Total War character system. Characters can die and must assure their dynasty by marrying and producing an heir. Their skills in battle and diplomacy are also defined by the usual bundle of attributes, skills, traits and equipment, so plenty of depth has been added and none has been lost. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy Total War's battles, but I confess I enjoy the campaign even more. It's partly the sense of escalation. You plan, you strategize, and your reward is to see your empire spread across the map, like a ripple in the ocean that becomes a tsunami. 3 Kingdoms will lean into this journey even more with a new currency, prestige, which will track your climb through the Chinese aristocracy. You start as a minor noble, and as you gain prestige by capturing or upgrading settlements, you can claim titles such as Marquis, Duke, and King. Of course, at the very top of the prestige ladder is Emperor, and earning the right to proclaim yourself such is the campaign's ultimate goal. When you do so, the next 2 biggest factions will follow suit, and so you'll be locked into a 3-way war to decide the one true emperor, regardless of your previous diplomatic relations. Certain logistical capacities that you'd previously take for granted are also locked to your prestige rank, which will be either a cool way to see your faction's growing influence have a real impact on the world, or a pain. The number of armies, spies and trade routes you can maintain are all limited at lower ranks, though there is some leeway through the new tech tree, which has been renamed Reforms and is depicted as a literal tree. Cherry blossom bursts on each node whenever you've researched it. It's very pretty. If you've been following 3 Kingdoms, you've probably noticed this in Creative Assembly's Let's Plays, but I was still surprised when I got my hands on it. This is a sickeningly good looking game. Unlike the flatness of the old Attila engine used in Thrones of Britannia, 3 Kingdoms' campaign map pops out of the earth like Warhammer's, but it feels warmer thanks to new lighting tweaks that are most obvious in the new day-night cycle, and it's wonderfully detailed too. As the warm gold of sunset yields to cool inky black, You'll notice traders light tiny lanterns to guide their way. Zooming into the map will subtly blur the background with new depth of field effects. Even the fog of war looks good in a haze of grey cell shading. And Three Kingdoms is pretty at every level. The UI is arranged around lovely flowing ink effects. CA's art team tells us they spent weeks in pre-production mixing ink in different consistencies and filming how it flowed to create their own custom shaders and masks. It really is worth emphasizing this. My reaction wasn't, huh, that's quite pretty, but rather, I might genuinely have to rethink my views on how good strategy games can look. In fact, it might spoil Total War Warhammer 3 for me if its tech can't be brought up to Three Kingdoms level. Wu Xing is a conceptual scheme of 5 elements under which the people of Three Kingdoms China tried to explain more or less everything. Total War Three Kingdoms will similarly categorize phenomena at every level of the game into these 5 elements. Its traditional scissors-paper-stone unit balancing is an easy and obvious fit, but the idea goes way further, even into the realm of the metaphysical. For example, shock cavalry, vanguard characters, the instinct character attribute, and even military buildings all partake in fire, and will have a splash of red colouring to indicate as such. Some will be obvious. Instinct is coloured red in the metaphysical UI, for instance, while others will be more subtle. This should serve as a visual language to introduce new players to the complexities of Total War, but it's also a beautifully elegant example of CA's commitment to the culture of the Three Kingdoms. And even though veterans might not get much out of it in practical terms, I'm personally really interested to see just how deep it runs through the game. And there we are, 5 reasons that I'm actually kind of stoked for Three Kingdoms now. Obviously, I've only had 30 turns with the game, so I want to stress that this isn't a full review. Although do come back nearer the game's release date of March 7th, and we'll have one for you around then. In the meantime, I hope this has given you some cause to take an interest if, like me, you've been a bit skeptical so far. Do let us know what you think. Did we give you some reasons to get excited, or are you still skeptical, or maybe you were sold from the beginning? Sound off in the comments section below, give us a like if you found this video interesting, subscribe for plenty more PC gaming good stuff, and we hope to see you again soon. Until we do, thanks very much for watching, and take care.